sunny Sunday morning, people of the internet. It's been a busy morning. What is the time? 10:24. Took the dog for a walk for about 1.5 miles. He's doing very well, and if you're interested to see how well he is doing, I'll pop a little bit of video footage at the end, because quite a few people have asked, and I know not everyone's interested in that, but if you are interested in it, I'll have the timestamp down below. And yeah, 3 loads of washing, 2 loads on the line, stripped the beds, new duvet covers on and everything. And so now it's time to sit down and then have a little relax, go through my colouring supplies, pick my things for next month. But this video is what I coloured in July, and obviously in July I was doing one book July, so I only coloured in this book for the whole of July. And so this is how I got on, and yeah, so let's open the lock. The only reason why that's on there is because this cover started to get a bit curly. You know, when you sort of start using a book for a whole month, it starts to look like you've used it for a whole month. So let's have a look. Quick slurp. Right, so I actually did 7 colourings in this book, and I've put the clips in order. And I have to say thank you to the lovely subscriber who sent me these clips. They came through the post from Amazon, I think. It was either 10 or 12, I can't remember. But they sent me a lovely message with it saying that every month I use ripped up bits of paper. So they sent me these, which are lovely. They're really nice. They're all sort of like swirly, tealy magnetic clips. Anyway, so this is the first one that I did in this book, and I did this one really, it was the first one I did in this book. I popped it on my Instagram when I did it. I think I said something along the lines of, I wished I'd have started with something a little bit simpler, because there was an awful lot going on in this picture. You know, there's monkeys, and there's rabbits, and there's a crocodile, and there's lots of flowers, and then there's water coming down, and then there's water here, and then there's water splashing out. I think there's water splashing out. I did it so that all of it was water. Basically, the way I'm looking at it is it's not a real scene, is it? At the end of the day, it is us kind of like looking through a porthole, and the water's like running into the scene, filling the scene, and then running out the scene. And these bits at the side, in my opinion, were kind of bits splashing out the sides of the scene, because obviously, you know, these aren't real. These aren't. I probably should have done some kind of nighttime background, as this is kind of like Moonlight Mischief. But by the time I'd done all that blue, I was pretty much done. I quite enjoyed it. Did I do? Yeah, I did a marker base, and then did a tiny little bit of shading. So the crocodile shaded in pencils and the water shaded in pencils. But yeah, so that was my first one. Enjoyed it. Then my second one, got to do them in order. Second one was this one, and I really enjoyed colouring the house. I was in the motorhome. We went away in the motorhome, and it was during the week, so I was working from the motorhome, and then in the evening I was colouring. And I really enjoyed colouring the house in markers. And then I did the edge of the bottle, and then I've never done a bottle picture before, and I didn't really know what you're supposed to do with the bottle, because in all reality, if that house was really in a bottle, there'd be green over it as well, wouldn't it? And I struggled with the realism of a thing in a bottle, and in the end what I decided to do was just do the sort of round the edge of the bottle. I looked at another couple. I left it for ages. I'd done all the edge, I just hadn't done this bottle bit. Like, I'd done all the main parts of the picture, I just hadn't done this kind of edge of the bottle. But I looked at some other pictures of people that did, you know, I looked up some other things in a jar, things in a bottle, pictures on Pinterest and things, and most people did that like that around the edge. So, I mean, the realism in me wants to sort of colour the whole thing over and sort of like shade it, but these are not real, is it? At the end of the day, mushrooms don't have legs and walks. I think this was fully all alcohol markers. It was, I didn't do any shading. Yeah, there's no pencil shading in that tool. That's fully all Ohuhu alcohol markers. I left doing the moon because I thought the moon would look a bit weird if I coloured it in, because then it would just be sort of randomly in the sky, and then I didn't want to do all the background, so I just left it. And you can. Sometimes you can just leave things. So next one. Oh look, I missed one. This was actually number 2. Number 2 was Mr. Elephant. I wanted to use a limited palette with this one. I like elephants. I'm not in love with this particular elephant. I think he's got a unusual looking face. But yeah, I wanted to use a limited palette. I really like the way my little tortoise came out. I also did this as sand because I can't imagine what else it would be apart from sand. And he's kind of, and I did kind of like, it's weird because you've got all these zigzaggy things as though, you know, he's in a grove kind of thing, and you're looking at him and there's all foliage behind him, and then randomly there's the moon, and it is the moon because it's got all cheesy moon holes on it. So it's not the sun. So I just thought I'd do it sort of like a yellow and just blend it into the green. All of these pictures are open interpretation, aren't they? They're not real. Elephants don't really play cellos. And I did the birds a really nice TD colour. I like those. I think they come out really nice. And I think this was all alcohol markers. I didn't do any shading. I didn't. And it was in... The other thing I did was I did his ears initially. I did them pink inside. For some reason, I had a brain fart and I was like, oh, elephants have it pink ears. And then it looked so crazy. I went over them with grey, the same colour as the elephant. But they've given them this nice kind of inner ear tinge. So yeah, that was the second one. But I'm showing you as the third one that I did. All alcohol markers again. And then the next one, number 4, was this one, and this was absolutely my favourite one. I really enjoyed doing this. The dragons came out really, really nice. These are pencil shaded, and my original plan was to do 1 red dragon, 2 green dragons, and if I'd have thought about it, he should have been the red one like the top of the tree and these 2 green ones crawling up. But I coloured this one. Just loved doing it. This was one of them pictures where I was really in the flow of the picture. And then I did this one, like just did this one. Oh, that came out really good. And then I did this one. And then I realised he would look odd being red because he was kind of like at the side kind of. And I actually did a poll on my Instagram. I think I did it in the community tab as well. And then I actually scanned this in and mock coloured this in red and green and purple and blue and asked for people's opinions, and they were across the board, you know, people were saying definitely red, definitely purple, definitely blue, and in the end I went with green, but I went with a slightly darker shade of green, so it's sort of like he's a more of the adult one. He's a little bit darker than the others. But I absolutely loved doing this picture. I absolutely loved everything about it. There's a tiny little bit for the cogs there. I used metallic gel pen. I think this was, yeah, I did an alcohol marker base, and then I did pencil shading over the top. The only thing I struggled with was what colour to do the little birdie there. I wanted him to stick out. Initially I did him yellow and he just looked so wrong on the picture. So then I just went over him with orange. Yeah, I really, really like that one. That's definitely my favourite picture in this book. And I'm looking forward to doing it again because obviously you get 2 copies. Look, you get, there you go, 2 copies, and that one's weird because it's not any different. Most of the other dip ones have got like a background or whatever, and this one hasn't. So I'm looking forward to doing this one again, and I'm looking forward to doing it this time. I'm going to do 1 red, 1 green and 1 something else, maybe just 3 different colours, but I really like the limited palette on that one. I'm a rambler. This is a really chatty video, I'm sorry. Next one. It was this one. I think I did a little bit of a colouring chat with this one when I did it. These are supposed to be jade. I said to my husband, what colour shall I do these? Because I just thought concrete grey, and he said, oh, they're jade, aren't they? They're jade lions. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So I did kind of obviously all, you know, Japanese bright red and that kind of colour for the temple-y thing. A sort of pink moody sky in the background with grey clouds. Bit of pencil shading, not much. The little man at the front there. Put this up on my Instagram, and I was really pleased when RJ Hampson himself commented on it and said, this is the first time I've ever seen this picture coloured. And I was like, oh! So that was really nice. yeah, and then just sand at the bottom. All of these pictures I have enjoyed doing. Yeah, I've enjoyed doing all of these pictures. Okay, next one is this one. Oh yeah, this one was, yeah, just one night I think I did this one. I really like the way it came out. I did obviously the grey, because to me that's stone, and then this was a wooden door, and then this round the edges like the heavy iron that they bang edge old wooden doors with. So I did that, and I didn't want it to contradict with the fox who's giving the rabbit a bit of a dirty look there because he's nicking a carrot. So I did all that, and then, you know, I made him a different colour brown. I think I'd done the fox first, and I was like, oh no, what colour am I going to do the door? Because he's going to blend in with the door. And that's why I decided to make sure this was all done. And them little dots, yes, they was a labour of love, but they look good. And then I did some pencil shading on the flowers, but I didn't do any I was going to pencil shade the rabbit. I think I did a little bit in his ears, but I didn't want to shade him because it suits him. The sort of cartoon colours suits him, and I didn't need to shade him anymore. So where are we up to? That's number 6. So then it is the last one, which is this one. Ah yes, the owl one. This is interesting. Now I started this one with a marker base. I did it in a colour and chat. Was it the colour and chat? Oh yes, the colour and chat where I talk about no more pencils. Up there if you want to see it. So I started with a marker base, and then I did some pencil shading on the owls. And I did this owl first of all. And I looked up owls, and he's supposed to be a tawny owl, but he's not that much of a tawny owl. And then the babies, as I was doing them, or the young ones, I decided to do them like, you know, when you do the pencil and you don't burnish it and you just do one fluffy layer. And I liked the way it made them look like fluffy little birds. So I left it. This one here, I did the first layer and then I went over it and then I made him, you know, burnished down. These I didn't. I just did a little fluffy layer. Same with the mouse, left them fluffy. And then I had a problem because obviously I'd done the big yellow moon in the background and it was still a white background. I thought I'm really going to have to do something in the background, and obviously I was in one book July, so I was only using the one set of pencils and one set of alcohol markers. So I started doing a pencil background. Oh, that's a labour of love. And I had the pencil like this as I was doing it, so that I got the very flat as a pancake, the pencil, and I had it very light, going round, and I'd done this much in about half an hour, and I was thinking, wow, this is a labour of love. But at one point I thought I wished I hadn't started it, but then I did carry on with it, and I actually like the look of how it came out. I mean, it's something different. There's no burnishing on it at all. It is literally just like one soft layer of pencils. It gives it a kind of, maybe it's a sun coming up early morning rather than moon middle of the night kind of picture. But I like it. I like how it came out. And that's it. That's my 7 that I have done. Like I say, this is my favourite. So how did I feel about doing just one book for the whole month? First of all, this was a great book to do it in because you can do markers, you can do pencils. So I didn't feel restricted. If it was like a single-sided book where I could only use pencils, I would have misused my alcohol markers, because some days when I finished work I would just turn to a new page that I wanted to do and sort of put the base layer in, the underpainting as it were, and then a couple of days later when maybe I had a bit more time, I would come back and do the shading or some shading on. They didn't have to be fully shaded, and I enjoyed that kind of split. The things that I did miss, I missed my gel pens. So much so that when I did the clock one, I automatically got out my metallic pens to do like the cogs, and I did this bit down here, and I think the hands are metallic as well. And I was like, oh, I shouldn't be using these. But it wouldn't have looked right without the little metallic bits and bobs on it. So I really did miss my gel pens. I love using gel pens. So they will be factoring very much in my shop my stash for August. I missed the quick fix of a finished work, just got half an hour before I've got to do dinner. So I did miss sort of like just grabbing a colour by number and doing half an hour colouring just to sort of lower my calm after work. And I haven't actually coloured this last week at all, so leading up to this week. I did put on my community chat about that Robbie hasn't been very well. Robbie's my dog, if you're just jumping in this video for the first time. And for the last 3 weeks, you know, he's been to and from the vet and had various tests, and they finally come back with the results, and they put him on the treatment. And sort of like one day, they said after like 24, 48 hours, he will start to perk up, and he did. And he was just like jumping up and down like a puppy again and running around. And so we decided to go away for the weekend, well, an extended weekend. We went away on Friday lunchtime, and we came back on Monday lunchtime to take the dog away in the motorhome, to take him to, we went to this big country park where we just parked up in, you know, and then there was like, open the caravan, leave him outside all day, take him for big walks. You know, it was just a really nice weekend. And then I came back on Monday and worked in the afternoon. Like, we literally got back at 2 o'clock and I worked in the afternoon. And then it was my mum's 82nd birthday, so we took her out for the day, took her into Cambridge, took her for a meal, took her to the theatre. So that was the whole day out with my mum. And interestingly, though I only worked 3.5 days, I still worked 40 hours in 3.5 days. So work that out for yourself. So this last week of July, I didn't actually do any colouring. So yeah, this was all done sort of like the first 3 weeks of July. So I probably could have got, you know, another couple done in this if I'd have had a little bit more time on that last week. But yeah, I've really enjoyed the challenge of doing one book July. But yeah, I didn't feel too restricted, but I did miss the ability to dip into another type of book. So there you go. Hey, hello mate. Hey, yo mate.
One of these. Yes.
Good. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. And the next video that I'm going to record right now, and probably upload it straight away, is my use my stash, the bits and bobs that I'm going to use in August and play with. So thanks very much for watching, everyone, and take care.